What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you're listening to Liquid Carnage. How are you, my friend?
Oh, we're starting the next bicentennial episodes, we're starting 201 today, so I'm excited for the future, brother.
That's right, man. Episode 300 coming sometime in 2023.
Probably something like that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to say 2023 because if it's before that, that means you and I started cranking out and releasing a whole lot more, and we both lead busy lives, so I don't think that's the case.
No. I think that the pace is a good pace. Once we get to that point where we're able to do more episodes, we probably still won't, but we might see each other more frequently.
Exactly. It's a nice thought. It's on our vision board.
It is. Oh, I like the vision board.
It's on the Liquid Carnage vision board.
I love it.
There's nowhere to look it up online, but just know it exists.
Yes, I'm sure the executive producer now will probably start a digital vision board for us.
Yeah, I would hope that if he does, that he posts on his social media, liquid_EP on Instagram and Twitter, so we can all watch and see how we achieve our goals on our vision board.
Yes. I like that. I like that sentiment.
Oh, man. I tell you what, man. I appreciate the input that he gives us because I think when it comes down to it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think the input that he gives us keeps us young mentally because it keeps us thinking, it keeps us sharp, it keeps us always trying to figure out how to make those improvements, you know?
Well, I think not only does it keep us young mentally, but it keeps our sense of worth checked. Because anytime we start to get big heads, we think, oh, we got this thing all owned. The EP comes in and makes sure we don't get too big for our britches.
Yeah, and I think he thrives on making sure that we're not too big for our britches.
And lately, dude, I'm very big for my britches. I'm just putting this out there that I have gained some serious weight.
Did you gain the COVID-15?
No, but I gained the COVID-10.
Okay.
Easily. And I'm trying to lose now the COVID-10, and it's a bear when you get to be my age, dude. You see, you're still a young pup. But when you get to be my age, what you used to do when you were 38 doesn't have the same effect when you're 48.
Yeah, I'm learning that now because as we've talked about before, my odometer just clicked over 40, and over the last month, I have been poked and prodded and under more X-rays than I have in the previous 40 years of my life.
Holy cow!
It's
the
like
previous 40 years, then wow, you definitely hit the odometer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like something happened, man. I tell you what. So I went about a month and a half ago. This is also the benefits of living with a woman that loves you, because you start having to look at things a little bit more closely than you would have had it just been you.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Yes.
So I went to the doctor to get my blood pressure medication refilled a few months ago, or a month and a half ago or so, after my 40th birthday. And for me, it was a simple visit. I had to get established because my past provider had left the company I was with. So I got established with a new one, and he's going through his protocols, and he took my blood pressure. And long story short, he's like, "Ooh, that's not good."
Oh, what?
I was like, "Well, yeah, it's not good. Like, I've always got high blood pressure." It was like 155 over 95.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, "Yeah, that number's too high."
That's a tad.
That's a tad high. And I agree. It's like, it's high, but also I just had caffeine. I've been running around all morning trying to get things covered. Like, it's been a busy day. He goes, "Well, okay, well, plus, doctor's offices stress me out." He said, "Fine. If that's the case, that's a 10-point swing in your blood pressure for the doctor's office thing, which means you're still too high, and that's not okay."
Wow. He lobbed that one back over to you.
Yeah, it was like I tried to spike it, then he dug it out and spiked it right back.
Yeah.
So, all right. So he's like, I'm gonna put you on a second blood pressure medication. And I'm always leery about stuff like this, just because everything I've read, everything I've researched, and it's not conspiracy stuff, Tom. So stop it. I've always read that pharmacy companies, big pharma, wants you on at least 2 maintenance medications, because that way they stay in business forever, essentially, because you always need them.
Right.
So he puts me on basically what's called a water pill to help drop my diastolic number, which is the bottom number of your blood pressure.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so it basically helps dehydrate me, and it worked very well. I started, my water intake was not nearly enough for as much as I was peeing and getting water out of my system. So I started having some palpitations, some skip heartbeats, some things that I had attributed to dehydration, knowing my body, because they always say know your body. So I mentioned something to my girlfriend. I said, Janice, it's weird. I have like a weird palpitation. She says, well, you should email the doctor. So I did. And, I told him what's going on, and he called me, and it goes on. He says, well, all right. If you don't feel good, sorry, Walter is snoring right next to me. He found out I'm in a quiet room, so he has to come make sure it's not.
Protect you. It's protection.
He's protecting me. So he called, long story short, I sent an email. He calls me 4 hours later. I'm pulled into the clinic. They're strapping me up with EKGs, giving me prescriptions for echocardiograms and stress tests. And then they make me wear a heart monitor for a month to monitor my heartbeats. So I'm supposed to like track any kind of weird heart issues I have over the course of a month. So I do that, and I'm still not quite sure what to track, what feels right, what doesn't feel right, because it's all kind of arbitrary,
Okay, I thought a heart monitor was like you don't really have to do anything other than just let it, check you, but you have to track, like write down what's going on. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but they give you a cell phone now that's attached to the heart monitor, so you just with like one app on it, so you just you input it right there and it tracks it. But it also tracks it on its own, so no matter what, every day the doctor's office gets a fax report of what your heart activity was, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, and so on and so forth. So I did that, and after about a week, they said, we'll do it for a month until you get to the cardiologist, because it's going to take you some time to get in there. So I actually happened to get into the cardiologist a week later.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, all right. So I go to see him. And he's like, well, this water pill you're on, that's part of the problem, because this is a very high dose for someone just starting off.
Oh, gosh.
So stop taking that. I was like, okay, I can live with that. And he goes, but take this instead. So pro tip, you're taking blood pressure medication, you're supposed to take it in the evening before you go to bed instead of the morning, because that means your body works with it better overnight, and it prevents strokes in the middle of the night too.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man, I had no idea. I take mine first thing in the morning. You got.
That's what I did. That's what I said it too. I said I take mine in the morning. He goes, well, don't start taking it at night, because that helps reduce the chances of a stroke.
Oh, game on, bro. Okay.
I was like, all right. He goes, oh, by the way, you have a heart murmur, so I'm going to give you a beta blocker to help the heart murmur. Here are the side effects of that. So I have gone from this point, for those scoring at home, going for a simple blood pressure medication refill, to now I've got my brother calls me Tony Stark, because I have the Iron Man thing strapped to my chest. Had it. I don't have it anymore.
Tom.
I have been strapped to EKGs. I've been taken to a cardiologist, put on EKGs, taken off meds, put on new meds. And that all led up to last week when I had my echocardiogram and my stress test. And I assumed the echo was fine, because they called and said your echo was fine.
Okay.
My stress test, it's not like pinball. You're not supposed to get a high score in blood pressure.
Okay, so wait a minute. A stress test is where you walk on a treadmill, correct?
Yes, but they do it now where they inject you with some radiant to go through your system. Then they put you under a camera, and they basically take X-rays of you, of your heart, and then they put you on the treadmill, and they monitor it. So they take your blood pressure before. Sorry, Bob. They take your blood pressure before. They're taking EKGs of it as you go, and you have to get your heart to a certain rate depending on your age. Well, every 3 minutes, it takes your blood pressure, and they said do not get to that heart rate in the first 3 minutes. Take your time. So okay, I'm glad you told me that 2.5 minutes into it, so I need to dial it back a little bit.
Well,
it was like, I thought it was like, let's get on here, get this thing done, because it was in the middle of the workday. They didn't tell me I was going to take 2.5 hours, and I had a physician coming on site for a visit I had to get ready for. So I was very stressed as it was.
Oh, gee. Okay. So you're adding a little bit to the stress test just naturally, not even
Exactly.
before the. Okay. Okay.
So like minute 3, like it starts taking my blood pressure, and I could feel it, and I'm walking, and it's at a at a steep incline at a pretty brisk pace, and then all these you would have thought I won the Powerball. All these bells and whistles start going off, and they shut it down, man. It was like a nuclear bomb went off, or right before it went off, and they hit the cancel button.
Oh my gosh, Scott.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, your blood pressure is 214 over 100. That's bad." I was like, "Yeah, that sounds bad." They go, "Do you have chest pains? Because you should have chest pains." I don't have any chest pains. Are you sure you don't have any chest pains? It's like, "Well, I'm talking to you right now, and I feel fine." Like, are you winded? It's like, I'm a little winded because that was a pretty steep incline at a pretty fast pace. I'd be dumb not to be. So, well, you have to sit here until we get your blood pressure under a certain amount. So I ended up spending 15 minutes just sitting there trying to get it to come back down. And all they could say is, "Well, just don't stress."
Yeah, right.
You're like, "Oh man, why didn't you tell me that? That should clear up all of this issue. All this nonsense should be done then." So the moral of the story is don't stress. And when your odometer clicks over 40, things do start to break. So take care of yourself.
Well, this is kind of shocking, Scott. I mean, I know that you've been a pretty active, you've worked out for a long time. Did you ever get any sense from your workouts that there was an issue?
Off and on, but I've always attributed it to dehydration, just dizziness after
just
working out.
Like you're winded?
Winded in the heat, dehydration, all the things like that. They just kind of make it like, yeah, once I catch my breath and get some water and cool down, I'm fine. So I never thought it was a big deal. And then when they said, "Well, you have a heart murmur," it's not a lot, but it could be something worse. And plus, with your family's health history, we need to look more into that just to make sure. So it's almost like you open up one little square on the advent calendar. Now you have to open up the rest to see where it leads to. So that is the medical rabbit hole I'm going down right now. And I just keep thinking to myself, I wonder what my insurance deductible plan was last year, because I think I was banking on I wasn't going to have any issues. And this is going to hurt.
Well, it sounds like you're getting some pretty big not procedures, but the stress test, EKG. I mean, those are big items. Those aren't like, take a pill and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like those are I'm looking forward to the bill on that. I'm sure it'll be a fun one.
Does it scare you any?
I don't know. That's the funny thing about it. We all deal with this differently. I looked at Janice point blank and said, "This won't be my problem. It'll be yours." Implying that I'm just going to drop dead is what it sounds like.
So, oh God. Well, the only reason why I ask is because, we have friends who have had some major indications of something being wrong, that they don't go right away to get it fixed because there's a fear. Well, if I find out what it is, then it's worse than if I just ignore it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so they're scared to not know. Here you've taken the other approach, like just get whatever you need to get done, and we'll just go with it. And you're finding out all these things. I mean, maybe that's a good thing you're finding out in a controlled environment versus under stressful conditions.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately they said my heart's fine. I mean, that's the upside to it all. They said everything looks okay. You just need to control your blood pressure some. So that's dietary changes or whatever else. And I agree, man. You can't put your head in the sand over a lot of things. Like sometimes you just have to go and do it. But that also kind of puts your head on a swivel for a lot of these things. Then you start to double, second guess yourself, like, oh shit, is this something more than it really is?
Well, I got to be honest, Scott. Like sometimes I know that when I've had this conversation, because I've had this similar conversation, maybe not to the same extreme, but I've had this similar conversation with previous doctors, and a lot of the things that they ask me to do, I'm still not willing to do them to the level I probably need to.
Yeah, this always comes back to you quit drinking, quit having caffeine, quit eating salt.
Yeah,
you do those 3 things. You hit the holy trinity of cutting it out. You'll live forever. You'll be bored as fuck, but you'll live forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't eat any foods that were that didn't come from the ground. Don't drink anything that has any fermentation in it. Don't drink anything that's sweet or anything. Wow. Okay, so become like a Hindu monk or something.
You may have water and gruel and fresh apples.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it was a conversation Janice and I had over the weekend. We were up in Vegas for our buddy Bruce's 40th birthday, and I told her, like, on the way home, I told her, like, it's we knew we had to make some lifestyle changes. At least I did. So this is kind of one of those wake up calls. Like, all right, I got to do some things differently. I got to really lock it in here. So, I'm just trying with the basics. I'm trying to reduce, instead of trying to cut it all, I'm just trying to reduce it. Cut it in half at first, and then once I get used to that half, I'll cut it in half again and slowly try to at least reduce it. I don't think I'll ever completely cut it out, but I'll admit, man, my caffeine intake's pretty high. I don't know about my salt intake. My alcohol, it goes in spurts, so it's things I can adjust, and I'm willing to make the adjustment for.
Well, yeah, but your caffeine is soda, right? It's not coffee.
It goes back and forth between a lot of it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because I mean, like me, I'm a big coffee drinker, and so I would have to switch to like a decaf or switch to tea or something else, which I'm okay with doing. But I found that I kind of like coffee.
Yeah.
Just in general. I'm not a huge soda drinker anymore, but I mean, every once in a while I will.
Yeah, and that's like, I prefer like Diet Coke and Sprite more than anything else if I'm gonna have caffeine, or if that's for the Diet Coke. So what I'm doing is I'll take one in the morning and switch to Sprite after Sprite and alternate between that and water after that. Because at least for me, it's the carbonation after I get the caffeine.
Well, I will say this, Scott. The one thing that's kind of, I don't want to say alarming, because it's not that, but it's just kind of surprising to me, is you are not the traditional person that I would look at and say, oh, you're going to have major health problems when it comes to the heart. I mean, you're very active. You exercise 3 times a week. You don't, like, you're not overweight, like obese. You're not, you don't have a sedentary lifestyle. So to hear you having some of the similar issues that someone who meets the criteria of, very obese, very sedentary, it's just kind of startling to me.
Yeah, it's difficult because it's on both sides of my family, and I think that's you have to start looking at genetics too, to a certain extent. And my dad and grandma both had very similar episodes, but my dad was in his late 60s, mid 60s. My grandma was in her mid 70s at that point, so.
You're right.
That kind of changes things. My mom's had uncles that had heart problems back in the 30s and 40s and dropped dead in their 40s. So she's concerned, there's concern about that. But at the same point, it's also 2021. We have things now that prevent a lot of things that happen, but you have to stay on top of that,
Well, and Noreen's mother, she had been dealing with heart issues for the last 5 years of her life, kind of like what you were talking about. She had to take water pills and she had to take other medication, but the medical advances kept her, like, she didn't die of a heart attack, I guess is the point I'm trying to make, is she died of just natural causes from her age. I mean, she was 88, so I mean, but natural causes from her health. But it's still kind of like you said, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the wake up call that people get from time to time to say, okay, I need to look at what I do and make a decision on how far I want to take it, if I want to keep going or if I want to change.
Yeah. That's it. I'm more than willing to make some adjustments. I'm not going to go cold turkey and everything, because I believe you still have to live a life. And I think that's
that's kind of my problem, is I still like to live a life, and for whatever reason, I take great enjoyment out of enjoying. I don't know why. I smoke a cigar, drink a whiskey cocktail, and I just feel just so good.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, you're not doing it every night.
Probably not a good thing to say to any doctors who listen to us, but I just enjoy that. I get so much enjoyment out of that experience, especially when I'm doing it with friends. It's just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, but you don't do that every night. That's the thing. You're not doing it every night, so that's not a constant lifestyle. That's a treat for yourself. So I think they'd be more forgiving with that than they would be if you did it every night at 7:00 like clockwork.
Yeah, maybe.
If you can't watch The Wheel without having a cigar and a whiskey, then that's a problem.
Yeah, no, that is true. Or you have to have 5 cigars and 5 whiskeys every night. Yeah, that is a little different. I get that. I get that. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a little older than you, so I've already kind of dealt with a few issues. Like, I mean, my first wake up call that I was getting older was age 35. I got the gout.
Oh, I remember that.
And I don't know if you've ever had the gout, but it's they used to call it the old man's disease because mainly it was for men who were really sedentary, who didn't have very good diets, and it's basically a buildup of uric acid. And uric acid is one of those acids that it's like when you pour too much sugar into tea, some of it dissolves right away, but some of it just sinks to the bottom as crystals. Well, the uric acid crystallizes in your body when there's too much of it, and it goes right to your joint, so it's very, very painful. And I remember that first time I ever got it, I was in pain for a week. It was the most awful. I was like, "What the hell? I'm getting old at 35." So you beat me by 5 years, buddy.
Yeah, that's the funny thing though. It's you don't realize like what's hitting until it's almost too late. It's already there. I know our EP has had some issues that caught him off guard, and once he moved to Denver, but he had to get those taken care of. And it's those things that it's a little bit scarier when you're living by yourself because is it that I can tough this out, or is this bad enough I have to go see somebody right now?
Well, and everyone's pain, everyone's issues are different. That's the other thing. Like Noreen, for example, she has good heart, good cholesterol, good blood pressure. All of those things are fantastic, but she gets the nerve endings to get inflamed and become really painful to the touch.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what is that neurological or whatever that area of the body is called. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering, but she has different issues, but they're just as real.
Oh yeah.
When you can't even, like, when your back is so sore and you can't even massage it because the nerves are so inflamed in the area that it's painful to even be touched. It's just as real as a heart issue.
Oh yeah. And, the other sign that I noticed getting old is, like I mentioned, we were in Vegas over the weekend. Vegas is coming back very slowly. It's very nice to see people out and about, everyone taking the proper precautions. But Janice said I went out. We celebrated our birthdays late this past weekend just as a way to get out. And we went to a place called the Mayfield Supper Club at the Bellagio.
Oh.
And oh my God, dude, you'd have loved it. It's like a 1940s French style restaurant that has, big band jazz music, like Scott Bradley postmodern jukebox, where they take modern songs and do like the old timey jazz style.
Yes.
Oh, dude, they had there's the first night back in the year where they had people like acrobats swinging from up above to set the ambiance, and cocktails and a nice dinner. And she and I, you have to be dressed up to get in there. And she and I, we did that. We finished up. We're like, well, fuck, what do we do now? We haven't been to Vegas in forever. And I was like, I don't mind going to bed. It was like 9:30 on a Friday night. I was like, I'm okay with that too. And we went back to the room. And then even Saturday at Bruce's party, it was like, it didn't get that late. And everyone was like, well, fuck, we're over 40 now. We're done. Like, we had our fun. like,
yeah,
it's time to go to bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah, what we found recently is when we want to go out but we don't want to stay out too late, we found a couple. I don't want to call them speakeasies, but they're kind of like speakeasies in the area where we live, where basically they only serve high-end cocktails. They don't serve beer or like they make cocktails that are just custom cocktails.
Yeah.
But we have one or two of those and then go home. And if it's 9:30, then it's 9:30. So I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
But the other part though too is when you have experiences like that, those are the experiences that I've been finding lately are the ones that I really enjoy. Just intimate, like not the huge raging party, but more of an intimate, just kind of a quiet, subdued. Let me reflect on how well we're doing in this world and not let's be crazy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were at too. We had more fun just kind of hanging out and keeping everything low key. It's also when I realized that I don't really care for Vegas that much anymore either. Not that I was a big time partier up there, but next time I go, if I don't stay on the Strip, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we stay pretty exclusively in the Fremont area now when we go up there, and so that I think that part to me is more my style.
Yeah.
There's a couple bars on East Fremont that I just like going into. I mean, I just love like the Commonwealth. There's another one that's it's just pure craft cocktails.
Yeah.
And I just love that more intimate thing. I think also that I don't know about you, but I'm noticing that well, we talked about this maybe on the podcast, that I just don't handle my alcohol as well as I used to. Like it hits me harder the next day. If I go hard, I'm hurting the next day, where I used to be able to just kind of bounce back up and go to town.
Yeah, so it's easier for us to take a step back and just not go as hard as we used to. And you don't really want to anymore though either. It's not let's get as drunk as we can in Vegas and black out. Let's enjoy the night and see what happens.
Right. Well, I think also, kind of, going back, I'm really glad that you are taking care of this or taking it seriously, because, it is important. And like you said, you have a lot of things that you don't want to have diminished in your life because of health reasons. Obviously you'll need to find a way to exercise. I know you enjoy exercise. I know you enjoy that part of your life. But hopefully you'll be able to bring that back into the fold in some way that's meaningful. Because I know walking just to walk. Okay.
It sucks. And that's the hard part, is because they won't let me do anything like super high intensity for working out for at least another month. And before we recorded, I was talking to my trainers, like, this is what's going on. So it's going to be another month of this. And I'm bored with it, but I know I have to stick with it because I have to keep moving. And she gets it. It is what it is, but it's just not ideal,
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I've like I said, I've gained some weight since COVID started, and once I got COVID, my exercise routine just fell off the deep end. I was getting up at 5 o'clock every morning, 4 days a week. I was running, 3 days a week. I was walking and doing some like weights and stuff like that. And now I'm trying to get back into it, but it's just, I've got to get back into it slowly, because I can already tell that all the gains I had made are gone.
Yeah.
3 months and all the gains I made were gone. So,
and that's the hard part I'm having a hard time dealing with too, is stuff I built up over the years is just disappearing. I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So if you've had issues with health and want to talk about it, did they put you on a pill you didn't want to be on that messed with you? Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. We want to hear your story. And I already plugged our EP Tom on Liquid_EP earlier in the show, but you can find him on Instagram and Twitter.
It goes without saying, but if you think that something is not right, or you think that something is just, it shouldn't be doing what it's doing,
go get it looked at.
I mean, when I think about Ralph, our friend, it breaks my heart to think that something like that could happen to our friend, where just
it could have been prevented.
It could have been mediated, right? It could have been mitigated at least. And so if you feel wrong or off, just trust your gut instinct. And I know that some people don't like going to doctors, so they don't, if I don't have to talk to a doctor, I'd rather do that than deal with the issue. But please, we want you to listen for a long time. And so have it checked out.
That's true. And I'm glad you brought up Ralph, because some very fun news today popped up that gave me a little laugh, considering Ralph. We're recording this on Monday.
Yes.
Our buddy JP sent me a text. They have announced they are starting to work on a Thundercats movie. And for anyone that ever knew our friend Ralph, he would always say, if you ever got like an argument and wanted to just end it, or just an awkward situation, he goes, you know what this world really needs? It's a Thundercats movie.
Well,
and
that's him sending a sign from above. Then
that's what I told JP. I said, hey man, I know that's the first thing he lobbied for once he got to St. Peter. It wasn't to get in the gates. It was, you better make a Thundercats movie because I want to see it.
And it's probably his sign to us saying he's okay. He's watching over us.
That's how I'm taking it. He's fine. They're making a Thundercats movie, so the world's gonna be okay.
Oh, that actually brings a smile to my face. Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yay, man. I will share that with our group here shortly too. I think they'll get a chuckle out of it.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening. We really appreciate you as always. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid courage.